Hi everyone, welcome to the Cosplay Crunch. Each week we sit down and talk about all things cosplay, including personal experiences, useful tips and advice, horror stories and hot takes, and sometimes the latest news and drama. I am your host, Zavage Cosplay. This thing sometimes corrects my name to like average cosplay, which I think is very rude.
No!
And maybe it's like a Freudian slip on the AI's side. I don't know. I am your host, Zavage Cosplay, and this week on the podcast we have the lovely Bree Han. Welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. I'm so excited to talk about many things. I want to go through cosplay. I want to go through your voice acting career that's budding, which is so exciting. We have a lot of hot topics to talk about because suddenly the cosplay community has started to erupt. I think mostly in Texas. I think Texas is the problem. I don't know.
A lot of these happen in Texas for some reason. I'm just like, what is going on?
I feel like it really is. So no guest question this week, which is great because that means we can talk more. But yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. What have you thought of the show so far?
Let's see. I gotta be honest, I haven't listened to the last couple episodes because I've been running around.
It's okay. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to go away.
Yes.
They're there forever.
I'm driving. I'm taking like a 4-hour drive next week. And I'm like, that's when I catch up on everything. Because when you came out with the first 3, that was my drive. That was when I had my 4-hour drive that day. I was like, hell yeah.
Oh my God,
it lasted. And it was so good. And so that's why I'm like, I like collect them for my long drives. And I just put it on and I'm just like, yes. And I just like listen for like a tea sesh my entire way. It's great.
I'm so happy that's literally the whole point was for like car rides to conventions, sewing to work. And actually by the time you go out of town, you'll be able to hear your own episode if you are into that. I know. So you're obviously you do voice work. So I think you're probably more used to hearing yourself talk than most people.
Yes,
but I know
while,
for like,
yeah.
oh yeah, for me even hearing myself talk, I'm like, am I really that annoying? Is my voice really that grating?
That was me when I first started voice work. Like, so many people I talked to, I was like, does it ever get like better listening to yourself talk? And they're like, sometimes it's better when you're doing a character voice and you don't associate it with your own voice. But when I've done a character that's just my own voice, I'm just like, gah.
It's you know, it's a journey, and I think part of that is like, I don't know. I think the more you're exposed to it, the better it probably gets. I think the first experience I had hearing my own voice was my voicemail, and I was like, I sound like that way? Oh no. And I had to redo it and be like, hi, this is Zach. I'm not at the phone. Okay, we're not gonna, no more changes on that. But I do want to start with your cosplay journey. So obviously this is called the Cosplay Crunch. You're bringing a lot more to this episode than just cosplay. But how did you actually get into the anime convention scene and start cosplaying? Like, how did you find this place?
So, I went to my first convention. I'm gonna call it a redacted Houston convention in 2012 or early 2013. Early 2013. And how I actually got into that was I've been into anime since I was little. I grew up like I remember when I was 5 years old watching Inuyasha and Naruto and Dragon Ball Z and Sailor Moon. I remember getting the VHS tapes for Sailor Moon at Blockbuster, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So I just grew up on it. And then in middle school, I was in middle school around 2012, in 2013, excuse me, I keep saying 2012, 2013, and my friend was like, there's this, like, event for, like, people who like anime down at the Woodlands Waterway, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, a small event at a hotel. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, that sounds so cool, like, other, like, nerds like me who, like all, like, anime and stuff like that, and I'm really getting into anime. Let's do it! And so we went, and that was my first exposure to cosplay. And I was like, whoa, people are dressing up as, like, different characters. Oh, my God, there's, like, America from Hetalia, and there's, like, da-da-da. And then, like, so I remember specifically being like, America from Hetalia. I thought that was so cool. And then when we got back, we only went for one day. I think we only went for, like, Friday or Saturday.
Sure.
And it was really small then. That convention is now in, like, the convention center and blah, blah, blah. But it was in...
And their attendance is unverified. And
yeah, unverified.
And also...
is questionable.
Very questionable, to say the least. I think when your attendance has an exponential growth curve as your numbers, there's something that's wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But, it was like... in like a hallway and then like one ballroom, or if I don't even know if I went to the entire convention, like explored it, because I didn't know. But my first time cosplaying was later that year at OniCon, October 2013, and literally.
I'm really excited because I feel like that was my first time cosplaying. That was also not Lisa. It was also Rosie's first time cosplaying.
I think she said it was her first time. That was either her first or her second.
And Kadia's like first for second convention, but first OniCon. I feel like why did all of us, like, why was OniCon 2013 the pivotal year? Like, what happened in 2013?
I don't know. I feel like that's when like anime like became more. Maybe that was when like social media was more accessible and stuff, and so we started seeing like cosplay and like people going to these events, or maybe it was more marketable then.
But the thing is, like, you just said you didn't know what cosplay was. You'd never seen it before you went to this anime convention, right? Yeah. I also had never seen cosplay on social media before. Like up to my first convention, I had never, like, now if you're not even a cosplayer and you're on like TikTok or something, you're gonna see a cosplayer pop up, right? And you know what it is, like, just like what a furry is, even if like you're not affiliated with like the convention scene at all, you know what these terms mean. But I feel like back then I had never heard the word cosplay before. Oh my god, I cannot speak. Colloquially.
That's a hard
oh my
word.
God, that's too much. We can't. That's a 10-point word. We have to keep it to the 5s. I had never seen that word ever, and also I'd never seen cosplay before online. I'd only like just seen Halloween and things like that, and the only thing I knew was about Comic-Con. Like, I only knew Comic-Con, like San Diego Comic-Con. That was it. So I really don't know what happened in 2013 that all these people started coming out. But anyway,
I do remember around that time, because what I first saw online for cosplay after that first convention was actually Oran High School Host Club cosplay. So maybe like all that nostalgia, well, now nostalgia anime, but back then was really popular, like Fruits Basket. It was really popular and easier to cosplay. So maybe, I don't know, like there were more like easy things to cosplay, so more people were doing it. I really have no idea.
Maybe I don't know. Well, yeah, I have no idea. I guess
all the CMVs on YouTube. That was like the height of it. It was the CMVs.
Wait. You're so correct. Wait. Okay, I don't know. I still had never seen a CMV, a cosplay music video is what that stands for. I had never seen a CMV up until OniCon still, because when I was described OniCon, it was sold to me as, it's just an event where people dress up as their favorite character, and it aligned with Halloween. So I thought, it's a Halloween thing. But then right after that, when I started to look, all the CMVs, like, and we're all over YouTube, and I guess like the algorithm wasn't as targeted at that point, and like they weren't listening to our phones back in 2013 to like hear what we're saying, right?
CMV, cosplay, no,
literally. So I didn't ever see those videos, but then right after OniCon, I saw all of them. Like there was like one called Sneaky Zebra. I think they're from like the UK. I don't know if they still make videos or not. MLZ Studios, I think, was also one.
I remember Fighting Dreamers Pro was like my favorite, because I loved the Naruto CMVs, because I was super into Naruto then.
Yeah, and then also like obviously like then subsequently like I know like Mineral Blue like also makes them, and like all that. Maybe you're right. Maybe that was the catalyst, and then people saw how cool.
That's when the people were actively posting, and that was like the new like cool thing, and like the anime.
Oh yeah, to be in one too, to be in a CMV, and you were like, I am that bitch. Like I am. It was like our version of the glam bot on like the red carpet with the camera. It literally was. It was our version of the glam bot, because it was like, oh my god, I'm in. You want me to be in the video? And you're like, oh. Yeah. No, I remember.
Maybe the breadth of CMVs and like skits and all that stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so you went to 2012, right? First con? 2013, first con. 2013, which was OniCon. Is that the first con you cosplayed to, or did you cosplay to your very first one?
That was I cosplayed at OniCon, which was my second convention, and I would say cosplay, I mean, yeah, it was a cosplay, but it was literally a Pikachu hoodie my friend's mom helped me sew that was completely made out of fleece, because I didn't know of like fabric choices. I was literally like, this is a bright cheap color, let's go. So it was like, I mean, OniCon October, it's either freezing or boiling, and it was boiling.
Right, there's no in between. Yeah.
It was boiling that year. I was wearing a fleece Pikachu hoodie, and my friend was Pichu because she was a little shorter than me.
Oh.
And we had like matching like fleece hoodies, and we both went to the same school that had the same like uniforms. And part of our uniform was a black skirt, so we both wore the black skirt and then like black ankle booties, and no wig. I painted the red dots on my cheeks, and that was it. No other makeup, and like you know me now,
No
like
other
I wore
makeup?
no other makeup except for the red on my cheeks.
See,
Like
that's
lipstick circles.
That's crazy because, like you said, when I think of you, I think of a beat face first and foremost,
Yes.
and that's always been kind of your thing. Your factor is like your costumes will look good and like put together, but the makeup, whether it's body makeup, whether it's like even just normal glam, beyond.
I always say my wig and my outfit can look busted, but my face will always look good. Like, that is my thing. I'm like, I could literally just throw something together, but my face will be, like, on point.
Oh my god, no, it's so true. What actually has made you stay within the I won't say cosplay community specifically because I think you've gone to more broad than just the cosplay community in itself, but what has made you stay within the anime convention cosplay scene at large for so many years? Because a lot of people don't stay around.
Right. Honestly, I've made just so many friends through it. Whether they be in-state, out-of-state, and then when I got a little older, like in college, well, first of all, through middle school, high school, that's what me and a lot of my friends bonded over in different grades, was anime. Like, all the friends in my grade, like, barely any of them even knew what anime was, but in, like, all the different grades, we bonded a lot over anime, and then when I went to college, that's when I met Rosie, actually. Was my freshman year, and it just kind of brought me more like kind of like I was drifting a little bit, and then just kind of sucked me back into like anime cosplay, that kind of thing. And then through that and through Instagram and different fandoms, I just made so many friends, whether they be out of state or in state. We would drive hours to meet up with people. We would finally meet up at one convention a year, but it was people from all over the state. So it was really, one, being able to stretch my creativity and learn just all these random skills, which is great for the ADHD brain. Mm-hmm. And then meeting so many people and just bonding with them. Because I also, when I get into a new show, I can't get into it casually.
You're all in.
I'm all in. I'm either nothing or all in. Like, when I get into a show, I'm obsessed with that show. So being able to be in a fandom space and meet other people who are just as obsessed with a certain like show that I was, that was awesome, because it was like, oh my word, there's so much content. I'm like soaking it all in. I'm really like deep diving into these fandoms, and I'm meeting friends who also like these fandoms. And then when I move on to another fandom, a lot of my friends follow or make new friends. Like, it's just a big like network that just keeps growing and growing. But I've made so many lifelong friends that way.
Do you think that there's like an internalized pressure, and there's no right answer to this because I don't necessarily feel like I have it myself, but like, do you think that there's this pressure to stay in the community because at this point, after a decade of being and forming most of all of your friends through it, there's a scary part of like, oh, if I stopped cosplaying, or if I stopped enjoying anime, or if I stopped voice acting, that I would lose those friends? Or do you think that that's not really part of it? Because like, I guess that's kind of a weird question, but I know that some people face that.
Yeah, I think... Let me see. I think there is kind of a pressure in it, but also to stay in it at least. But I also think that, like, having been in it this long, I know how to deal with not having the same interests as my friends and still keep them as close friends. Mm-hmm. Because I have, like, friends where I'm in a completely different fandom as them, and we just don't like what each other likes anymore. But we're still great friends. We still hang out. We still, like, go antiquing together. We go to tea together. Like, we still, like, meet up and talk. Antiquing, yeah, like thrifting, but, like, at the antique stores.
Wait,
and, like,
you
get all
love
the knickknacks.
You love that?
I love antiquing. The little knickknacks. Oh, I'm a knickknack goblin.
Oh, my God.
I love little knickknacks.
I've never been. I want to go sometime. That sounds crazy.
I have to bring you. It's very overstimulating after a while, but it's like a wonderland. Once you know what to look for, it's really fun. I'll have to
Have
break
you
this time.
found anything that's applicable for like cosplay at
Oh
antique
yeah,
shops?
I found like vintage like aprons that I
Oh.
use for aprons. You can find so many just donated like fabrics and stuff, like old curtains, tablecloths, that kind of thing. You can find. I found like a large key for something. They'll have
Oh.
like buckets of keys and stuff too. So I've literally had like a pirate character who had like keys in her hair, and I literally just found like a bucket of them for like a couple bucks. But you
That's
can
so
find
cool.
so many random just items at different antique stores that you don't expect to find.
I want to go. I feel like I'm missing out on the antique
It's
journey.
fun. And there's so many around here.
See, I've only been to like Value Village where you're like shoving through dirty tennis shoes and trying to find some boots that fit you
You
for your
gotta
cosplay.
go to the antique malls. You'll see some cool
Malls.
stuff too. Antique mall. So it's like a lot of a lot of independent booths where people will like they'll source different vintage and antique things and put them in these booths, and then you go and it's just all these different booths that have different sourced materials that are vintage or different types of vintage or like different subcategories of vintage. Like you'll have like an Elvis booth over here, and then you'll have like a vintage shabby chic booth over there, and it's just really cool.
Oh, I love that. Wow. How did we even start talking about this? I don't remember.
I said I did antiquing with my friends that
Oh,
I
yeah,
went on
yeah.
the same fandom
So
spaces.
you have common interests with your friends that go beyond the cosplay realm, and even those connections are like, I guess, so ingrained at this point that you can have different interests and still like reconnect and still have common things that you share, even though at the time you might not enjoy the same thing at that moment, right?
Yes, because we will meet through cosplay or we'll meet through different fandoms, and then just getting to know each other, we find out we have a lot more in common. And then even when like our love for a fandom dies or we just get out of the fandom somehow, we're still connected through our other loves outside of the anime cosplay community.
Right. No, that makes sense. Do you remember how we met? Because I don't.
Through
Let me
Rosie.
phrase this.
I know
Let me
that.
phrase this a different way. So, I feel like there's a chance that we might have met at a San Japan.
I
So-
feel like it was either San Japan or Akon, I think.
Were you a part of the group that was sewing on top of my body while I was asleep in a hotel room? Were you in a Voltron Kigurumi group?
No, that was a different group. That was the year before me.
Okay. Okay.
I was in the year where you and Rosie shared a bed, and you turned over, and you went to like cuddle your boyfriend, and you're like, "That's a woman with hair."
Wait, I don't remember this at all.
You don't.
Wait.
I remember
You're
you telling
literally-
us in the morning, being like, "I just like gave myself PTSD last night."
You're literally gagging me. Oh my god, I'm turning red. Wait. We're gonna have to dive into this. What convention was this?
Oh my word, what convention was it? I feel like, oh my god, I can picture.
Were you there at this convention?
Yes, I was.
Were you in the
there.
room with
I was
us at
sleeping
this
on the
convention?
floor because it was a packed room.
I think that no. I don't know. I'm gonna okay, so
I think it was
okay.
Akon, or no, was it? It was one of the Texas cons, obviously. but
It could not have been Akon because the one Akon I did in Dallas at the Anatole, I was with other people. I know that for sure. And then after that,
Okay.
it was always in like Fort Worth with different people. So
Okay,
okay,
what
the
was
San
it?
Japan experience, and let me like explain what happened to maybe jog your memory because it might have been, I don't know. But I think it was Voltron Kigu's. It might not have been. Anyway, we were like, it was like maybe Thursday night before the con. Caroline had said, "Oh, I have a friend who's like looking for a place to sleep, I think, and can we have her staying here? And it's her birthday." And we were like, "Oh, okay, like that's fine, that works, that's chill." And then she came, and that was the first time I ever met her. Was at that San Japan, and then subsequently there were like, I think one of her other friends also came up to the room to like work on stuff, and that's why I'm saying I think it was Voltron Kigurumis because they were like in a group thing together at the time. But I was like in the bed horizontal, like eye mask on, like asleep. And the comforter was pulled like taut over my body, and it was being used as a work surface.
Oh.
So there were like 5 women with like sewing needles and fabric all on top of me, sewing on my body.
That's hilarious.
And that's why I'm like, I guess you weren't one of them though. If this isn't jogging a bell, Jesus Christ, ringing a bell, then I guess it wasn't you. And I guess we must have met somewhere else. Maybe it was
We
ACON.
met after. Oh my word, what was it? It was, I can picture the con, like, centers. Was it A-Fest?
Yes! I think it might have been.
A-Fest.
I think it might have been.
I think it was A-Fest, because I haven't been to an A-Fest since, just because my schedule hasn't lined up, and this is the only con I can remember at this convention center.
You know what? Let's go with that. Let's go with that storyline for ourselves. We'll say it's A-Fest. Yeah. Which, oh my God, A-Fest is coming. Oh, and you're going to this A-Fest or no?
I am.
Yay! I'm so excited. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm excited to be able to actually hang out with you more and not be so frantically running around. Well, here's the thing. I feel like the conventions in which you're not staying at the convention in like a hotel or something, I feel like inherently you have less ability to hang out with your friends during free time, because a lot of time, the time that I get to see my friends is actually in the evening, because during the day you're usually in a cosplay group, and then photos have to happen, and then you're with them and you're like, oh my God, I need to change out of this, and then you get dinner and you're like, I have to feed myself, so all that happens. But then at night is whenever it's like I'm free. I'm in human clothing.
Yes.
I can actually go mingle with people. And when you're not staying on site, I feel like that doesn't really happen. And then also like Anime Frontier, I wasn't on site just because I had never been to Anime Frontier before. And I live in like Dallas area, so I just drove. But for A-Fest, I'll be there, like in the building. So that'll be good. Oh gosh,
because I feel like we're both also the type of people, like, conventions are such a like social event for us, because so many of our friends from just all around go to them. So me and you both, I feel like, are always running around to see different people. Sometimes I'm literally running to see different people. Like, I literally, whatever group I go with, I tell them, just leave me when I get stopped, because I get stopped a lot just because of how many people I know.
I agree.
So I get stopped all the time, and then they don't know as many people, so they're just like, "Oh, we're just gonna go Ars Alley." I was like, "I will catch up with you at some point. I'm gonna take like 2 hours to talk to like 10 people, so just go."
Yeah, no, that's very that. It's very like there's so many people and you want to say hi, but you also don't, they're busy and you're busy, and like it's such fleeting interactions sometimes, and there's always good intentions, and you always generally want to catch up. And if there were 10 days of the convention, I'm sure that everyone would like have like 10 different dinners with these people. That's another thing. Oh my God. We're literally going off on a whole tangent, but I need to talk about this.
Yes.
The dynamic of the anime convention post-con dinner. Because that in itself is a psychology and a college course.
Yes, I agree.
Oh my God. Because, okay, so for anyone that doesn't, I'm going to set the scene and then I'm going to get all your thoughts. So basically, the nature of anime conventions, or conventions in general, like we've discussed, like we just were alluding to, there's lots of people that you don't see very often. There's lots of friends that you see maybe once a year that come from out of town or different places, and you actually genuinely want to hang out with them, right? The problem happens, here's the other thing too that compounds on that. The free time, like we said, is usually in the evening when you're not in your cosplay group, when you're not doing your photos. This is maybe more specific to cosplayers. I don't know about everyone else, but this is how it goes. So the dinner and after is when you usually have the time to actually connect with those people that aren't in your immediate circle. Like they're not staying in the room with you. They're not cosplaying with you, but you want to hang out with them. So what ends up happening is you're like, I'm like, hi, Bree. Oh my gosh, Bree, I'm so happy to see you. Let's get dinner tonight. It's like, oh, okay, well, I have my group of 4 to 5 that I'm in the room with that I'm getting. Who do you have? Oh, I also have my group of 4 to 5. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, suddenly that becomes a party of 10.
Yes.
And then, but also Miss Abby, she is bringing Jared because they're dating, but they're not in the same room. And then also Jared has a friend that's with him because he's here by himself. And then you have a party of 20.
Yes.
Then it becomes a banquet.
Yes.
So, like, what is your experience with navigating this type of situation?
So the best thing I found that I've done before was we rented an Airbnb. It was like 10 of us in an Airbnb, in like a 4 or 5 bedroom Airbnb. And one of the nights, it was like, oh, we invited this person who invited that person who invited that person who invited their room, that kind of thing. So it happened. And so we're like, okay, let's just plan for like 25 people. Let's just plan for that. So what we did was there was a Jollibee's nearby. And we just had one friend in their car go get a few like family packs from Jollibee's and bring them out. And we just set them all up on the middle table. And we had paper plates and disposable chopsticks and forks. And people literally just like, we had the Airbnb had tongs. They literally just grabbed it in tongs, and it was just like people just everywhere,
oh my God,
just eating like fast food family pack together, but still like just talking. And it was like 25 people because this person invited that person who invited their room who needed a ride from this person, so they came to get and all that kind of stuff. So what we did was we literally did the family packs from like a fast food place and just brought them back to our Airbnb, and it was the most like stress-free, just
I know.
chill like after con like dinner. And all of my friends were like, that was a religious experience at this point.
That sounds so nice. Was that a convention
so
in Texas
nice.
that you did that
Yes,
at?
it was at San Japan last year.
Oh
It
my
was at San
God.
Japan last year.
Oh my God, wait,
Yeah.
there's a Jollibee in San Antonio?
Yeah.
There's one
I
here. I've
believe
never
so.
been.
If it was
My
San
mouth is
Japan,
watering.
yes.
My mouth is watering hearing about this food that I've never had before.
It's so
I think
good.
it's just. I think I'm feeling the relief of taking off my sweat-induced clothing and armor and ripping off the wig that's indented in my
Yep.
forehead, and then eating fried chicken and spaghetti.
Yes. What
And
it
that's
was,
really.
after the con, but before night con.
Oh.
So it was that sweet spot that where
Mm-hmm.
all the events in the day had ended, and Artist Alley and Dealers Hall were closed, but we're still waiting a few hours before the rave started. So we had
Mm-hmm.
all that time just decompress, chow down, and then get re-ready and then go.
That's such a good strategy. So here's like what I've had to do. Basically, a lot of my conventions that I've attended weren't in the position where I don't think I've ever been at an Airbnb for a convention before.
It was my first time. Or actually the second time. It was so nice. It was so nice.
Or like had a car. A lot of times you don't have a car, or you might have a
Yeah.
car, but you park in a garage and you can't come in and out, so you're
Yeah,
stuck
you just
there.
keep it there. Yeah.
So a lot of times what I do is before the con, especially if it's a convention I've gone to a lot, I know the restaurants in the area and I know which ones will take a reservation. And I'll usually kind of gauge like how many people we think might be going to this with us to a dinner. And at least on one of the nights, I will make a reservation for like 8 to 10 people.
Yes,
And then
yeah.
that's the limit. And then we know, we're going to get sat because there's a reservation, because on a Saturday night, a lot of times you're not going to get sat with eight to 10 people anywhere. And two, it does cap the attendance. So at the end of the day, I can be the bitch and say, oh, I'm so sorry. We literally don't have room because of reservation.
We did
and
that
that
at
only has,
WeebCon.
yeah, we did it. We did, at conventions as well. Like, it kind of has to happen. I feel like there's also times where it doesn't. Like, if you're going to like Chipotle, bring the gals, like show up at Chipotle and get your little bowl and be happy and be merry. But if it's like a sit down restaurant, which a lot of us crave at conventions,
Yes,
because we're
it's
so
so
like
nice.
we're so like starved throughout the day and like deprived of like nutrients that we want like an actual proper meal.
And you get to sit down at a table and not like in your bed,
Oh, I
like
know.
cross-legged eating something or on the floor, because you know the desks are covered in cosplay stuff and like
Oh my
makeup
God.
and wigs and props. So you're like
Oh my
sitting on
God.
the floor or your bed eating usually if you're not sitting at a restaurant.
On that, okay, one more tangent, and then I promise we're gonna get to voice acting.
Okay.
But wig hair etiquette in the hotel
Yes.
room. Talk about it. I think you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Is like when you need to cut it.
Oh yeah. After the wigs have been cut and there's hair like on the like, what's the etiquette if you're sharing space with someone else and there's wig hair all over? Like,
So what I've done for if I need to cut a wig at a convention, usually I'll save the bangs because I know I can do those fast and it's small. But first of all, I always bring my own trash bags. That is like part of
okay.
my like. I have like a cosplay hotel kit now. One of my main things is
wait,
bringing
what's
my
in
own
it? What's
trash
in it?
bags.
What's in it? What are some things?
Main things is a power strip.
Oh yeah.
Power strip, steamer, because some costumes can't use their iron, and if it's not like adjustable, especially you don't want
Right.
to burn your costume. So a small handheld steamer, a power strip, safety pins of different colors, and then a whole roll of like trash bags.
Love. And so do you put the trash bags down on the floor? Do you have them
Yeah,
like cradling
so-
the wig? What do you do with them?
I'll do two different things depending on what I need to cut. One, if I'm cutting the back of it, I will put the like wig either like on a chair or like have a little wig stand, and then put the trash bag around it, like have it cradling, kind of like you're just like cradling it. So when I cut it, it falls directly into the trash bag.
Right.
If I'm doing bangs, I'll either use a trash bag or even just like a Target bag, like a small shopping bag.
Yeah.
And I'll line the sink with it. And then I'll do it over the sink so I can still see. And I'll do it over the sink. And then when I'm done, I just tie up the trash bag and throw it away.
Live. Because there's truly nothing worse. There's no hell worse than getting out of the shower or going into the bathroom to pee barefoot and your wet feet get in the wig fiber.
Yeah.
Oh,
because if you're cutting in the bathroom too, if you're cutting more, cut in the bathtub with the trash bag cradling it.
Oh, yeah.
So you can get a majority of the hair in the trash bag, and there's a couple bits you can put it down the shower if it's really, really small.
Right.
If it's really small pieces. But yeah, that's just be able to, like, if you have like a couple pieces here and there, you just wash it down the drain if it's tiny little slivers. But I try to use a trash bag or a shopping bag to catch most of it.
That's so smart. No, I think there's nothing more I detest than like sharing a room and I go in and find wig hair all over the place and I'm just like, I want to die.
Yep.
This is my hell.
Like, this is now sensory hell. Thank you.
I know. Oh, awful. Oh my God. Everywhere. Okay. So pivoting from all of this, yes. I want to talk about how did you get into voice acting? Like, we're not talking about any of the characters yet, not talking about your experiences yet, but how did you even think about voice acting and how did that even start?
So I had known about voice actors being at conventions being a thing, but I don't think I ever even met any of them prior to becoming a voice actor, because that just wasn't on my radar. Like, I knew it was there in like my periphery, but I was never like, I need to go see this voice actor, you know? Because I actually used to always watch sub because I have to read subtitles.
Same. So same thing for me, because I mostly watch subbed anime generally, but also that means that the English voice actors we have in the US, we don't necessarily know their voice or have like an affinity to them, but that is different in some anime. It's different, and there's exceptions to that for me personally. And then also video games and like things like that, I will definitely recognize the voices there. But continue.
But anyways, the voice actors were like on my periphery. It's like I knew of voice acting mainly, and that it was a job. But I actually had been on stage since I was like 5 years old. Actually, before that, I started dancing when I was like almost 3 years old. And because like I was very advanced for my age. They let me be in like the big kids. Like, kindergartners
look
class.
at you go, dancing queen.
Dancing queen, only 5. Anyway, I got to be like on stage. So I was. No, we did not claim her. We did not claim that energy.
Karma's a bitch. Okay, sorry. Keep going. I'm so sorry I derailed you. So you had been on stage from a young age.
Yes, and I had done. This sounds so lame. I'd done like competitive acting and stuff like that through my school for like elementary, middle school, high school, like on the
UIL.
Kind of. It was the private school circuit up until high school, and then in high school we went on the debate circuit. And part of I was on the debate team, and part of the debate circuit was called Interp, and that was the acting side of like competitive performance. So I did that too, and then took my senior year off, but I was still. Literally the only way our fine arts chair let me take a back seat to competitive acting was if I coached. So I had to coach my senior year competitive acting, like different types of acting. So I did that. And then college, I was like, okay, enough with all the fine arts. I'm gonna be a big girl and I'm gonna go to business school. And so I did, and I missed acting so much. And from freshman year, I met one of my friends, Jem. They were telling me that they were signing up for club theater, and I was like, oh, I remember being in theater. I was like the lead in like my musical and the play, and they were like, you need to be a part of our plays. I was like, no, I'm too busy with business school. I'm too busy. Every single semester they would give me the sign-ups and I would say no, and then it took until my senior year for me to be like, why not, I'll try it.
Oh my gosh, like why not, I'm about to leave, so
yeah, I'm about to leave, let me do this one as a favor to my friend.
Right.
Got absolutely hooked again. I did one semester of it. Second semester, we got shut down because of the panini. The panorama. We got shut down.
Wow.
Everything stopped my last semester. But I was just like, I got bit by the creative performance bug. Like, I was like, I need to do something. And so actually, Rosie's mom, the theater she was with was doing an online play.
Oh.
And she was like, come join us. I was like, okay. So it's like a Zoom play that we recorded.
Sure.
And then I was like, wait, you can still do performances with your laptop? What else could you do? So I started like looking up like acting from home during the pandemic because I was trying to see what was happening, and voice acting kept popping up, and like resources to turn your closet into booths, and like what mics to get that were under $50, and like all these resources were popping up of how to start voice acting and where to go for like small volunteer projects and that kind of thing. So I literally, at my mom's place, I was living with my mom at the time, I had a quote-unquote walk-in closet, as in I could walk in and then back out.
Yes,
like walk
yes.
in like a foot and a half and then back out. And the whole left and front of me was just pushed, like just shoved with clothes. And then I bought little, like, these, like, acoustic foam panels behind me are, like, 2.5 inches. I bought itty-bitty 1-inch ones and used thumbtacks to put them on my wall. And I had a little laptop stand that I bought for like $20 on Amazon, and my laptop and a little USB mic, and that's how I did things. That was it.
I love that. So you kind of saw, okay, what's an opportunity for me to express myself in an actor performance sense, but given that we're locked at home, how can I still do that?
Yes.
And when you looked and you saw voice acting, so on that note, like voice acting, I think a lot of people think, oh, you're just reading a script and talking into a microphone. But there's a lot more to it than that, right? There's a lot of emoting. And can you describe some of that?
So something I was always told, and that I still agree with absolutely, and I will tell anybody else wanting to voice acting, is voice is only one part of the phrase, acting is the other. So yes, while it is voice you don't need to have a great voice, because there's a niche for every type of voice. You just need to be able to be understood clearly.
Right.
But the other half of it is acting. You need to have the acting chops to be a voice actor. If anything, I wouldn't say you need more, but you need a different type than if you were doing on stage or doing camera work, because you can't see your face. You can only emote through your voice. So some people can emote with their face totally great, and it's awesome, but their voices are monotone. And that does not translate to voice acting. So you need to be able to emote properly through your voice and put that to a character. So sometimes it's putting on a character voice. Like, if I want to be a little girl, I have to pitch my voice up higher, but still do the really intense emotions.
Oh my God, stop. Oh my God. Wait. Oh my God. I just got chills. Oh my God. Stop. That felt like the spirit of like Annabelle the doll came into the room with us.
And I was creepy doll voices is my favorite thing.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. Wait, you're so good at this. Wait. Oh my God. I'm just fangirling a little bit just because that's so much talent. Like, okay, so okay, back to that. So it's a lot of acting that has to be, it's a lot of character and personality and emotion that has to be conveyed solely through voice without relying on a visual medium. So you have to really go and put all that breath and like exclamation behind everything you're saying, right?
Yes. And then also what a lot of people don't realize with voice acting specifically is a lot of it is a cold read. So a cold read is where you get the script and your first read through of the script is you doing it. Like, you don't get the script in advance. You don't get to play around with it. You don't get to study it. You get it the day that you're recording. For my anime scripts, literally how it goes recording, I hear 3 beeps, beep, 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 and on the 4th imaginary beep is when you start talking. So literally the only preparation I get in anime, and in a lot of things actually, is 3 beeps. I hear and see how they did it in the Japanese, and then I get 3 more beeps, and then I have to do my take on it in English and match the mouth flaps. And that is the first time I'm reading that line.
That's wild. So are you given the anime or source material ahead of time to even know what these characters are like?
If it's a simulcast, no.
What's that mean?
A simulcast is where the Japanese and the English come out at the same time. So we don't get anything ahead of what the regular consumer gets. If it's coming out the same time as the Japanese, like literally the day of, the director is getting what they need, so they're getting like what Japan has done but hasn't released yet, but they can't release that legally. So none of the actors get to see it until you're in the booth recording at the studio.
Wait, so you get like will they be like, oh, okay, so like Free Ren is this elf girl and she's kind of like stoic and like they'll tell you about the character, or how would you even know how to like?
They'll tell you about the character. Sometimes if there's a manga beforehand and you've read it, that's great. But if you're coming in for like a smaller character, like at one I was in the Demon House of Momochi, something like that, and I was playing the mom, and I wasn't catching up with the anime, I wasn't caught up, I had never read the manga, if there is a manga, I didn't know anything about it. So I got in the booth, and the director was like, okay, well this is what the story's about. It's about this demon prince who da-da-da-da-da, and you're playing his backstory, and you're playing his stepmom, who is coming across as sweet. So you get like the basic background of the story if you're not already familiar with it, because some people do have already read the manga and they're familiar.
Sure.
But if you're not, then the director will kind of catch you up on where you are in the season and then give you kind of like a background on the character. And then throughout the session, if you don't like get it on the first or second try, throughout the session you'll start getting into the character more as you start reading more of their lines and getting them. And then sometimes you'll go back to the beginning and re-record your beginning lines once you have that characterization put in place throughout the session.
Gotcha. I was going to ask, like, do you ever watch anime and kind of to feel like the character becomes more flushed out from a voice acting perspective from the start to the finish? But then you just said, but sometimes that they'll go back and record the beginning because it's like,
yes, if we have time in the session, you can go back and record the beginning lines. But even like my first role was a lead, and it was my first professional thing ever. Like, I had no experience on my resume. It was literally just education, and it was my first time in professional studio, everything, and it was like, okay, well, here's your first session, and it's going to be 3 hours long. Good luck. Where usually people start with 15, 30-minute sessions in background.
Wait, really? And they threw you in for 3 hours?
They threw me in for 3 hours, and I was like, by myself, too, and I was like, whoa, okay. And literally the first episode is pretty rough, but then by episode 3, you can hear me start to actually like get into it, find out her character, and then by the second part of season 1, I had friends texting me being like, girl, what did you do? Because you like this character, like she's completely different now. And I was like, yeah, I learned how to act in the studio, and I got comfortable with being behind a microphone and being directed and having like professional. I got used to being in the booth, and I got more comfortable being a character.
Oh my gosh.
Like my characterization completely changed between part 1 of season 1 and part 2 of season 1 because we had like a 3-month break.
Yeah, that's actually so nice though that you have this kind of record in place of your very first experience voice acting, and you can see, but you can see the development. Yeah, even in that one show, right? Yep. That's crazy. So, how did that first voice acting gig come about? Like, how did you apply to a role? Did like I don't even know how any of this works. So how did you get in a role for a lead character for your very first time at was Crunchyroll the studio producing it, or how does that even work? I don't even know. Okay.
It was Crunchyroll. So mine's a little interesting. Like, directors all the time will literally come in and say, don't expect this to happen, don't expect this to happen, this doesn't happen. And it happened. And I was like, oh. So the timeline was I sent my demo reel, which is basically like a 1-minute calling card of different characters you can do. Not even just like different voices, but like showing off your acting, basically. Mm-hmm. I sent it. I got Crunchyroll's audition email through like a friend by going to classes and through a teacher going to different classes.
Okay.
Sent it to them. Heard nothing back for months, and I was just like,
sure.
"Oh, guess I'm just not good enough." Okay. And then in February, I took an in-person class, and literally, usually at these in-person classes, we would go into a booth just like this one, and the guest director, usually from Crunchyroll or like a really reliable actor or something, would be directing me as if it were a session. But this one, we didn't do that. We were actually just at a big like conference table, and he pulled up scripts on the projector and literally picked one script, and we all went around and did that one script how we would do it. It was probably like 15 people.
Wow.
And so we did those. And then at the end of class, he had us come in one by one to do a mock audition with a character he chose that we didn't get to see until we sat down.
Gotcha.
So we did like a mock audition for him. That was like, oh, cool, which is another class. I loved that class. It was so, like, educational. I had notes in my notebook, like 3 pages. It was awesome. I felt good. And that was in February. And then in April, I get an email from Crunchyroll's talent coordinator. You've been cast as Misaki in Dead Mount Death Play by this director. Do you accept? And I thought it was a spam. I thought it was a joke.
Can we talk about that? Because, I feel like when these things happen that are so, unbelievable, my immediate gut reaction is this is spam as well.
Yes.
Like,
I thought
for
it
example,
was, scam. Like a scam
Yeah.
email.
No, for me, right, with, like, Anime Expo, I got that email, and it was like, hi, we want you to be a guest at Anime Expo, and it came from an email address that was not at animeexpo.com because they have a whole different, like, entity that is in charge of that convention. And I was like, is this real? Me?
Yep.
Me? I'm no one.
How did this happen? The only reason I knew it was the talent coordinator and knew it was real is because through my in-person classes in Dallas, I had heard her name be tossed around. And the email was from her. So that's how I knew that it was real, because I knew her name, and I knew that only if you were within, like, the know-how, you knew who she was.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I was like, no one random who was doing scams would know her name.
Right.
So I was like, oh, this is real. And I was literally visiting my mom, and we were sleeping in the same bed, and it was 1 a.m., and I woke her up. I was like, Mom, I got called in. Because I had heard nothing from my first, like, sending in stuff and, like, actually applying. I heard nothing. It was just crickets. And then all of a sudden, months after I sent that in, 2.5 months after I took the class with that director, did I get an email saying he wanted to cast me as the female lead.
Wow.
And I started in 2 weeks. So I needed to sign all this paperwork, get this contract done, all this stuff, and send it back. And, do all the, like, new actor input forms and, like, send it in. And literally how Crunchyroll, they send out general auditions every season, which is, like, different archetypes, small scripts for different archetypes. So it's, like, young boy, young girl, romantic female lead, robot, monster, like, every actor gets that. It's called the general auditions. I tell people my timeline was I got cast, I filled out everything, I got my journal auditions that every actor is supposed to do, and that's how you get cast, is through that database of directors listening to that. I recorded my first session as Misaki on a Thursday and sent those, like, regular auditions in the next day. So the auditions that you usually got cast off of, I sent them after my first session that I was already casted.
Jesus.
That's how my timeline went. It was so fast that they were just, you're cast, get these done, you're in the studio, and it takes time to record those general auditions, so I took a couple days, and it just so happened that I did my first 3-hour session, and the next day I sent in my actual auditions for the rest of the directors.
So it was basically trial by fire, in a sense. Like,
yes.
learn
absolutely.
or get out, basically.
Yes.
Like, here's your shot, and you better step it up, or you're going to be not here anymore.
Yep, it was basically like, you, like, dipped your toe in taking these classes? Well, here's a pool full of sharks. You better learn to swim, like, away from them. And I'm just like, okay, we're doing this. It was really a sink or swim situation, and there was no option to sink.
I think that part of that also is that anything can turn into an opportunity. Any little interaction can turn into a snowball that could lead to other things.
Oh,
right?
Totally. My 2 biggest roles were because of opportunities that I made through meeting people outside of the studio.
Right. It's not like, yeah, exactly. So, okay, how does voice acting work? Like, do you work as a contractor? Are you self-employed? How does that?
I'm self-employed and I'm contracted through Crunchyroll. And you are your own business, and other companies and clients can hire you for specific jobs. But you're not really an employee for a full company.
Okay. And so is Crunchyroll, like, the production company, or, like, what are they in this? Because, like, Crunchyroll themselves, to my understanding, is not writing the source material themselves, right?
Right.
They're not animating it?
They're not writing the source material. They're not animating it. They're getting it from the studios in Japan. And then they do have in-house writers and translators. So they'll translate it from Japanese and then rewrite it to make sense and fit the mouth flaps.
And localize it, I'm sure,
and localize
right?
it. Yes.
I mean, that's how like what the jelly donut happened
Yep.
in Pokemon all back way,
Yep.
all way back. It wasn't Crunchyroll, but like all back then, right?
Yeah, and we do the localization here, and it's literally just one big company that there's a location here, and there's a location I think in LA also, and they go back and forth with like voice talent and which studio gets what anime, that kind of thing. But yeah, they have in-house translators, writers, directors, engineers, all that stuff. Except the only ones they contract out are voice actors.
Gotcha. So is the and that's just for a variety of talent, right? Like to have different talent and to fit different needs, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. And then do they do different languages as well, or is it just English?
Crunchyroll itself, I think, does different languages, but ours does English. Because I know the Crunchyroll like streaming platform has different languages. So maybe they do outsource it to different companies. No. They have a worldwide. They're worldwide. Because I remember seeing on the website. They're worldwide. And so they do different dubs for different languages, but there's only 2 in the US, and we do just the English dub, period.
Gotcha. So Crunchyroll, okay, I understand how that dynamic works, but so would you say like are the biggest like is Crunchyroll like a production company, or like what would you categorize them as? Like what is like what are they? That sounds like a dumb question, but like
they're a production company. I would say they're a production company, and they're just like basically just production. They're just there to localize Japanese animation.
They must also have like a whole IT team though for like Crunchyroll, like the streaming service, right?
I believe.
Like I'm
so.
assuming.
I know they have customer support. I don't know if it's at the Dallas location, which is the one I'm familiar with.
Right.
But I know they have their own like accounting and everything, their own marketing in-house,
right.
that kind of thing.
Right. And like there must be a whole team that, I mean, because Crunchyroll is the company that, okay, here's another question. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but like 2 conventions, Anime Frontier in Fort Worth and Anime NYC in New York are both Crunchyroll conventions. Mm-hmm. What does that mean? Like, is Crunchyroll the owner of those conventions, or are they just a big sponsor of the convention, or like, what's happening there?
I honestly couldn't tell you because I think that's the LA studio that deals with that.
Okay.
To my understanding, they're a big sponsor, but don't quote me on that.
You should go find out.
I should just ask.
I don't know. I'm just curious. Yeah, just ask. I'm curious.
Just go in. I'm going in Friday again. I went to this morning. I'm going back in Friday. I'll be like, hey.
Be like, hey, do y'all own Anime Frontier, or do y'all just a sponsor? Like, what? How that's? Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah, I was curious with the Michael's Hancock fabric situation, which I found the answer to. Oh my God! Wait, okay. 30-second lore drop, because if you've been listening from like the beginning of the season, I'm gonna give this to you. Basically, I brought up how we don't know what happened with Hancock fabrics when Michael's, the craft store, bought Hancock fabrics and all the fabric disappeared. What actually happened is Michael's bought the name, the brand Hancock fabrics, and they did not actually buy the inventory. Hancock fabrics, before they were acquired, bought a name, sold, and liquidated all of the fabric. So all the fabric for Hancock's all went everywhere. It went to like all the different fabric warehouses around the world, like the Remnant, like everywhere, all the different places, right? It just went to anywhere they could sell it to, it went there. Michael's bought their name, which I was like, why does Michael's want Hancock Fabric's name? That doesn't make any sense. They bought their mailing list. They bought their data. So they bought all the people that shopped at Hancock Fabrics. They got their data as part of the acquisition. It was like multiple millions of dollars in acquisition for just data. And the fabric wasn't even part of it. So there is no shipping container full of fabric in my backyard from the Michael's acquisition of Hancock Fabrics. Yeah, it never happened. I mean, hell, it might be in the warehouse fabric stores in your local city. Who knows? But anyway, back to the point at hand. You should find out about that. I'm just curious. But would you say that in terms of voice acting production companies, there's like what? There's Crunchyroll, there's Funimation, right? Because Funimation is its own thing, or no?
No, Crunchyroll and Funimation merged. And this year was actually, literally just a few weeks ago, they had a party at Crunchyroll saying goodbye to Funimation. Because now... Crunchyroll, I don't know if they merged or just Crunchyroll acquired Funimation, but Funimation as itself is no more.
The name is gone.
Crunchyroll. Yes. The studio, so there's a lot of actors who have been with quote-unquote Crunchyroll for years, but if it was prior to like 4 years ago, they were actually with Funimation. And then once Crunchyroll bought them and came down here, then they switched to being Crunchyroll actors, and Funimation was no more as like a working entity. And it was over a few years that they fully merged, and they finally got rid of the Funimation name literally a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow. So, okay, because they were also in Dallas, right?
Yes, they were in Flower Mound.
Yeah.
That was their old office.
So, gotcha. So it's like Crunchyroll, and then is there any other like localization production company for anime that exists in the U.S.?
There's Sentai in Houston. I know them.
Oh yeah, Sentai Filmworks.
But Texas is where anime is most known for, and a little bit in LA because there's also Bang Zoom in LA. Bang Zoom in LA. There's also Crunchyroll LA, and then Crunchyroll Dallas and Sentai that's in Houston are the ones off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure there's other. But Bang Zoom does like the really big ones, like Demon Slayer, like the really big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do the big boys that Crunchyroll
I never
doesn't get.
I don't know. I never heard. Well, Demon Slayer is on Crunchyroll.com. So how does that work?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest, because I think Crunchyroll...
I'm asking you so many technical questions, and you're just like, I'm a voice actor. I go in when I'm called.
I kind of know something because people talk. Actors love gossiping. Like it's a whole thing. Everyone loves talking to each other. Bang Zoom is the one who dubs it, but they don't have their own streaming service.
Okay.
So that's why all the things are on Crunchyroll.
Gotcha. They like get the houses
Netflix,
somewhere.
Like that. Yeah.
Sure.
So they do their own production, but then outsource it for actual streaming.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. You touched on this a little bit already, but what is the most challenging part of being a voice actor and just in general practice? Because I imagine that, having to do this line of work, it takes a lot of energy. And also it would seem that based on the fact that you're contracted, it's not always consistent. So can you talk about some of the challenges of being a voice actor in general? Because it's obviously not as glamorous as everyone thinks. I think a lot of people think, oh, you're working at home, just sitting in your closet, recording lines from a script and you get paid for it. But I feel like there's a lot more to it.
There's so much more. Oh my word. First of all, even just being able to sit at home to even have a professional setup takes money. You need to have already been working or you saved up from your other job to be able to afford either getting the good acoustic foam for your closet or even having an extra closet in your house. I don't have an extra closet. That's why I had to buy a full booth or you build a booth.
Oh, so this booth is in your house? It's a freestanding structure?
This
or
is a
how does
freestanding structure in my home office. There's a closet behind me and my actual PC setup is in there. And that's where I do my day job. And then literally, where I'm in now is a freestanding booth.
Oh my God, made of wood and plywood and stuff?
It's, so this is a professional booth that I bought. I didn't build this one myself, but it is plywood and carpet covering it. And I have if you can, let me see.
All the foam, yeah.
All the foam. And I have acoustic panels behind and I have bass traps and it's all padded and everything to dampen the sound.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but to even just get a professional enough setup to get paying jobs, not even good paying jobs, just paying jobs, is already an investment. And that's not even counting all the classes you have to take, because it's very rare that you're going to start out being a marketable voice actor.
Sure, everything takes practice and training, right?
Exactly, and that's no different with acting. You have to take acting classes and voice acting classes, mainly acting classes, but there's also voice acting classes and different types of voice acting classes. Western animation's different than anime, which is different than young adult cartoons, which is different from commercial, which is different from audiobooks. Which is another really hard thing. Is like I mentioned before, I do my day job back there, and then I do voice acting here. It's really hard to make a livable wage, basically a livable income doing voice acting, especially anime, because anime is one of, if not the lowest paying voice acting job.
Okay.
Which frustrates me because it's one of the harder ones, I believe. Oh. And one of the quote unquote easier ones, which is commercial, is the high paying job. There's a saying where it's anime's for fun, commercials for money.
Is that because of the audience that is being exposed to it? Or where is that coming from?
It's because of the budget the companies have and what they're willing to give their actors. Because, I don't want to talk bad about them, but, Crunchyroll, we used to get paid, half of what we do. Before I joined, we got paid half. Now we get a pretty decent starting point. And we get a 2-hour minimum, which is new too. So even if I go in, like I went in for 30 minutes today, I'm getting paid a 2-hour minimum.
Gotcha.
But it's still, like, I'll get called in, like, this week is a busier week because I'm called in twice.
Okay.
So getting paid 2 hours a week.
It's like 4 hours a week. It's like, it's good on one hand because it means you're consistently participating in roles, which builds a resume, which then bolsters your opportunities in the future
and you get
for
in front
bigger
of
things as well.
You get in front of directors. Yeah.
But the actual amount you're being paid is not, it pales in comparison to be able to live off of that. You have to have an actual second job, I'm assuming.
You have to have a second job, and then all the money I'm making from voice acting right now is going right back into voice acting. Literally, this booth was my first year income paid for this booth in my microphone, and that was like, I didn't have anything after that. And then this year, my voice acting money is going towards more classes. So it goes right back into doing the craft because you're never not trying to improve. And in order to improve, you have to take classes, or you can upgrade your equipment, or it's just so many different factors that cost money. That is a big barrier to be able to get into voice acting.
Right.
Because, like, classes aren't cheap. Like, classes will run you anywhere. Like, a cheaper class is like $100, $120.
Oh, I'm
for
sure.
1 day.
Yeah.
And then, like, a whole, like, session, like a 2-day long one. Or, example, I just had friends who took an in-person class that was, first of all, it was from 9 in the morning to 5 p.m. in person all day, and it was $500 to be able, and you're paying to take that class to then further your craft. You're not paying it as a guarantee to get a role. You're paying it just to
Right. You're not paying it as like a gateway entry, like the bouncers. Like, it's a admission fee. It's the cover charge to get in. It's like, no, you're paying that to get experience. And in your case, it yielded something crazy.
In my experience, but literally directors come in and tell you that doesn't happen. That's how rare my case was.
Right.
And even then, if you do get picked up from a director in a class, that was like a year into taking classes. So I had sunk in quite a bit of money to even get in front of that, to be in front of that director, and then I happened to get picked up.
Wow.
But that's one thing, is you have to have money to get into it, which is rough. But also, like I said, I started with tiny acoustic foam in my closet, and then I was able to save up other things, and then was able to do everything. But that's one aspect. But another one, in order to make a livable income, is you have to diversify your portfolio. So I'm doing anime, but other people I know who are full-time voice actors, they're doing anime, they're doing audiobooks, they're doing commercials, they're doing video games, they're doing Western animation, they're doing radio commercials, they're doing in-store, like, overhead PSAs, they're doing all sorts of stuff, and none of it is guaranteed.
Right. Do you ever want to get to that point?
Where
you're like...
I want to, mainly just because I love voice acting so much, I want to do more of it. So I would love to get into audiobooks because I just love reading and I love listening to audiobooks. I would love to get into them. I would love to get into commercials just because that's kind of where, like, you're like, I've had it already where, like, I'm on YouTube and I hear my friend's voice in a T-Mobile commercial and I'm like, oh, that's my friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's just so fun.
That's crazy.
I would love to get into video games because that's my brother's big thing, is video games. I just want to be like, look, I'm in it too, you know?
Oh my god, that's me too. Like, if you were like, I don't know, a great fairy in Legend of Zelda, I'd be gagging.
Yeah, like, it's just so fun, just being able to be a part of the media my friends consume and media that I consume too, and being like, oh my word, I get to be... Like, I'm the one bringing these characters to life that I fell in love with when I was little. I'm the one bringing life to these characters. When people see this character, when they hear them in their heads or hear them through their screen, that's me who put in the work to bring that character to life and working with a team to be able to bring that there. And it's really special. I love it.
It sounds so fulfilling, almost kind of like, I mean, akin to how I feel, I guess, when I work on a costume and I bring a character to life, and I'm like really proud of all the time, effort, energy put into that. And also think about it this way too. Obviously, like, just like voice acting, your experience builds and your talent builds, just like with cosplay.
Oh, absolutely.
Your experience is collective, right? And ultimately, when you look at a product that you make, you know, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years from now, that's a culmination of all of the effort you put in all the years leading up to it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not just looking at something and saying, oh, I made that. in the perspective of what you've done at this point, I have put in so much work and effort up to this moment, and this is what that's led to, and like, it's really fulfilling. I think when something that you've made or you've participated in is out there in the world, and you have like proof of it existing, it's so cool.
Yeah, it's definitely the same. Getting to see an episode done and released gives me the same like serotonin boost as finishing a costume and wearing it at a convention. Like working, seeing the behind the scenes, putting so much effort into it, and then being able to show it to other people and bond with other people about how much you love this series and love this thing. And it's just so cool. It's very much that same feeling of, oh my word, I did this. I brought this to life somehow.
Right. No, that's so cool. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see what else you star in and how you continue to be in all these things. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool. I love it. Okay, so we're going to go into hot topics because, like I said, we have a number of them to discuss. Some of them will go a little quicker. Some of them, we'll see what we talk about because I don't know. First, are you caught up on WeebCon, and are you familiar with like the cosplay contest situation?
I'm familiar with it, yes.
Okay, so TLDR, if you didn't watch the WeebCon episode, you should, because it's very lengthy and very good, and we have lots of guests on there that are amazing. But basically, the TLDR in the WeebCon contest is that no prizes were awarded to most of everyone there. Best in Show was awarded some type of physical plaque, but no actual prize associated with that. And then I think that there were some other people that got some type of physical token of some kind, but not... It was only like maybe like 2 or 3 out of like everyone that was awarded prizes. So vast minority. And then no one got anything in like actual prizing.
I remember that.
So at first there was rumors going around Discord that WeebCon was going to send out a letter of recommendation to the winners saying, oh, hi, let it be known that Bree Han has won X award from WeebCon 2024, but was not given any award because we didn't give them anything. And as consideration for your con, you should let them compete even though they already won because they did not get anything at our convention. Please and thank you. Best wishes, WeebCon. But that never happened. Okay. We didn't expect it to happen. It was theorized that it would happen. It did not. But an email went out to the winners today, or this says 2 days ago, so maybe this was two days ago. I got the screenshot today. Hello, cosplay contest winners. We apologize for the delays and lack of transparency on prizes for the WeebCon 2024 cosplay contest. We are currently working on remediating the situation, and in order to accomplish this, we are requesting the following pieces of information to award your prizes as quickly as possible. First of all, I think it's interesting that it's been a month, straight up a month, since that convention happened, and there was silence from anyone from the convention about it. So that's kind of interesting. So what they want, preferred payment style with corresponding information, Venmo, PayPal, physical check, and address if physical check. We thank you for your cooperation and hope to get you all your prizes soon. Thank you and have a weebtastic day. So that went out, and I think it's really funny because what Alley Cat mentioned on the podcast was they could reach out to me with prizes, and I would not want it at this point because the actual moment that was supposed to be special was taken away. And at the end of the day, she was just talking about getting some type of certificate or award or something to demonstrate. Some type of physical symbol of recognition that she had won the best performance that she was awarded and got nothing. I don't think it's about money. I don't think that anyone that enters a contest is looking for monetary gain. They are looking for recognition that their work was recognized and that they won what they said they won. So sending out an email saying, we'll give you money, direct deposit, and like literally wire you money is kind of interesting a month later. I mean, at this point, if I was in their shoes, I would say, why not? I won something. Here's my PayPal. Like, send me money. Throw money at me if you want. But, like, what's your thoughts on this?
It definitely feels like a consolation prize. And it feels like it took them this long because they saw the backlash and it was not actually part of the plan. Like, I feel like they were just bashed so hard and it got out on social media that they did nothing. And now they're like, oh, let's fix it by sending these people money. Let's just fix it by throwing money at them. And it's like, that doesn't fix all the problems. Like, you're still going to get bashed. You still waited a month. You still didn't do anything at the actual event.
Right. Well, and it says here too, lack of transparency and also remediate the situation. So they know. Like, I feel like they know that this was not pre-planned. I don't think they're trying to necessarily front that it was by the language they're using, but still, to your point, it is definitely an outcome of the backlash that the convention received.
It was
and
definitely
I
not
don't
pre-planned.
think no, and I don't think any cosplayer worth their salt in Texas would ever compete at this convention again.
If they knew about WeebCon, no.
Like
if
WeebCon would
just
have to,
learned.
even if you knew, so here's the thing, even if WeebCon was like, oh, we're gonna give out a B79 Yaya Han machine to Best in Show, I still don't know if people would trust it because of everything that's happened.
It's like, will you actually, though? Will you actually deliver, or are you just saying that in advert? Like, you can't trust them anymore.
Yeah.
They've lost so much trust in so many things.
And the fact that they've had feedback surveys before, people submitted the feedback surveys, nothing's happened. They've repeated the same things again.
Yes.
And then even after this year, they never made any statement or anything about it. They kind of just brushed it under the rug and like pretend like it didn't happen. I don't know. Choices.
Choices, not the right ones, but
Choices. I know. Okay, so next topic is Arda Wigs. So Arda Wigs, first of all, put a statement on their Instagram today, as we're recording this April 30th, talking about all of their internal logistics problems with their company. One thing I learned is that Arda Wigs Canada and Arda Wigs Europe both closed down.
Oh.
And so Arda Wigs Europe appears to have always been Arda Wigs Europe. Like, that was the company name. It never changed names or like changed ownership. It might have changed ownership, but the Arda Wigs Europe was the name. It's closed. It says Arda Wigs Europe is currently closed. There are no plans to reopen at this time. For future announcements, please follow at Arda Wigs Europe. So that's on their website. It just does not take you anywhere. It takes you to a Shopify website that's closed. Then Arda Wigs Canada turned into Vega Theatrical Supplies. I guess when Arda Wigs Canada was split off and like was divested or became its own company, and then they rebranded into Vega Theatrical Supplies. But then even they said, closure notice, Vega Voyage is ending. Click here to read more. 20% off Arda Wigs. So they're gone. They're gone too, apparently. So Arda Wigs said in basically their post, and I'm going to summarize it a little bit because there's a few different slides, but basically they were like, why are restocks taking so long? Because we know if you try to order something from Arda, there is probably less than a 50% chance that what you want will actually be in stock.
Oh, yeah. Like, you go to Arda expecting it to take a while. Like, this is not, I need it by the end of the month. No. This is like, oh, this cosplay might happen. Let me order it from Arda because it'll depend on when the wig comes in for me to be able to do it. Because you never know.
Well, and the gag for me, too, is that they were like, well, we're going to put the onus on you to check our statuses yourself. So they were like, oh, this wig's back ordered. You need to check this extra Excel spreadsheet that we've uploaded to this link to see the shipping container schedule from China to determine when your wig and your lot is going to arrive into the United States, which is crazy.
It's like
what other
time
company?
too, because customs.
Yeah.
So.
We got customs and like, and I mean, now shipping from China is much more reliable. There's not as much backlog anymore, but even still, they have their manufacturer's schedule. They're like, what other company would you ever order from that's like, oh no, go check our manufacturer's schedule, our shipping container time, our transit time, and our stocking time.
Go calculate it yourself.
That's crazy. It's crazy. And I get it. They say in here they have like 3 employees, but so like they can't do it themselves. But anyway, that's wild to me. So if it's not in stock at Arda, I won't buy it from them because I'm like, I would rather try something different than potentially never get this.
I'm the same. I've actually, oh my word, I don't know the last time I bought an Arda wig because every time I go, it's on back order, and I'm just like, I can't guarantee I'm gonna get this in time. Like,
right. No, I mean, I will say I bought Arda wigs more recently only because contests, like Arda somehow sponsors all these cosplay contests, which is also questionable because I don't know how that's happening.
That's true.
Based on this post, but they give you money, and so you're gonna go use the money, right? And so I think that there's something. Well, I don't know. I guess I will try to go for pretty basic things like blacks, And if this block doesn't have it in stock, is this block version available? Okay, close enough. I'll get that. Like, you know, I ordered for both this. I ordered some stuff off Arda, and I was like, okay. And then Axel Wigs, who did the wig, was like, oh yeah, I airbrushed it to make it a closer color. So I'm like, it can be worked. But all that being said, it's rarely available to get what you want when you need to buy. So anyway, why are restocks taking so long? Our factory had to close and lay off workers during COVID, and they have not been rehired. Okay, that's interesting. My thought to that as a person that works in manufacturing is to find a new factory, but I don't know. And that affected their sales, which affected their budget. And then everything is marked down to the penny. There's room for extra margin. Sometimes restocks take longer to pay for than they used to. So they're like on like a like very limited, like they have no cash flow basically. And they can't get material from the factory on time is what I'm interpreting from this. They say, why are you discontinuing so many items? We can't afford to carry all the non-moving products. Okay, that makes sense. Having no budget means we can't have inventory just sitting there, contributing to overhead. We have to be strict about what we sell. But here's the thing that's weird. Since COVID, the cosplay market has slowed considerably.
No.
Yeah.
I think maybe, because I was just thinking about this when you were talking, cosplay itself has gotten more popular, but because of that, more companies are making cheaper things. Like, I know Arda was huge before, like, you can even get stuff from Amazon, but now people are like,
there was no
Amazon.
Choice.
Yeah, there was no choice.
Right.
Arda was the place to go because there was no other place to go, but now there's so many different places that I think Arda just hasn't kept up, or maybe they're, I don't know, because for me now, I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense to pay like $30 for a wig or like $45 for a nice wig. But now people are like, but you can get it on Amazon for $20, you know?
Right. Even if you're ordering 2 wigs on Amazon for 20 and you're like putting them together, like some of those lace fronts. Oh, girl, the lace fronts.
They look so good.
You can get a great lace front on Amazon for like $40.
Yeah.
The same lace front on Arda will be $105.
Yes. Oh, I've definitely done that. I've definitely go to like Amazon for a few lace fronts before because it was just a third of the price of Arda, but it was still really good quality.
Yeah, and they do mention here, they say that people are more frugal with where and how much they spend. I agree with that. I think inflation has affected everyone, and I think that everyone is realizing that it costs more just to exist in this country. Yeah. But I will say on that note, though, I think the leading factor here isn't that cosplay market has slowed. I think that people are buying just as many cosplays as they were before, and I think that people are cosplaying as much as before. I think there are cheaper options, and people are more resourceful now in utilizing their options to get the best bang for their buck.
Yes.
And Arda isn't able to strategically source their product and work their own internal supply chain in a way that is cost effective.
Yeah, I think just internally they have not kept up with just how the market is now.
Right. They also say, why are you focusing so heavily on character wigs? So like specific character wigs, like, oh, Todoroki has half white, half red hair. We have that wig, but we don't have like a black wig in Magnum length, right? So they say a couple reasons. The cosplay market has changed. Since people have less to spend, they want a ready-to-wear wig because it's cheaper than buying all the parts to style one. That makes no sense to me. So, like, do they realize how much a can of hairspray, a pair of scissors, and some tacky glue costs, right? Like, this isn't, like, a huge financial investment. Like, I feel like the pre-made wigs they're selling are not of the caliber of like, oh, this is a Jessie wig from Team Rocket. This wig is like blown out to God and like are all pre-sold. No, they're selling shake and go wigs out of a bag that might have 2 different colors in the wig, right? And they're attributing that to saying, well, we're doing all the work for you. You don't have to pay the immense amount of money it would take to style this wig yourself. And that's why people want the character wigs, which that logic does not make sense to me.
No, especially because, like, just using an example as a Todoroki wig, like, you can go to Amazon and get that cheap, too. And it's going to be the same. Maybe it'll be shinier, but it's still a shake and go. Like, you would still have to style it as much as you would have to style an Arda wig. Like, if they were really worried about, I don't know, I think they would just style it better, even if it's just, like, a shake and go. But that doesn't make sense where they're like, oh, we're doing all the hard work for you. It's like, no, you're still gonna have to doctor it quite a bit when it comes out of the bag.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. And also I would think that like having stock of like a medium length long blonde wig would be more sellable than having a very specific character wig, because like it would fit more things, but that's not what they're saying. And they also say that they had to let go of all of their staff but 2 people and move into a fulfillment center. And they did move from Chicago to like Denver, and I think they moved from Denver to somewhere else. But maybe they're still in Denver. I don't remember. But they say that we have a perception that we're a huge industry giant. We've always been a small business. And then they say, are you closing? And their answer is, not if we can help it.
Oh. Ooh. Ain't that real?
Yeah. So we're doing everything we can. That's basically all they say. They don't really give much else. They give a bunch of flavor text, but nothing else substantial. Yeah. And the last thing is, will you be at any conventions? And they said the only convention we're going to is Dragon Con. We've canceled every other convention.
Oh, my word.
And then they say, but here's a positive. If there's something you want brought back, tell us. We will always stock items people ask for. And our plan has always been to regrow our selection of base wigs as the market bounces back. We have a lot of new character wigs that have been sitting in our warehouse, some for over a year. So they have character wigs they haven't listed to their website that have been in the inventory for over a year, and we'll be posting them for sale soon. We've struggled to get products listed due to our staff being small, but we're excited.
My question is, with those character wigs then, who's going to buy them if they're out of style? Because, like,
that's the
fandoms
thing.
are trends. Like, there's different trends. Like, there was, like, now it's Kaiju and Has Been and Apothecary. And before that, it was, or still kind of JJK. But, you know, like, it comes in waves. And if they've had these character wigs for a year and they only work for those characters, then are they still popular now? Will they sell them now? Or will they just sit on those wigs like what the problem was?
Well, that's the thing. Because they're saying, oh, we're sitting on inventory. So instead of, like, we're going to buy character wigs because they sell faster, but that doesn't make any sense. Here's my conspiracy theory.
Yes.
Okay. I think that the only sales art is making is character wigs, because you can't just go buy a blonde wig somewhere else. But Arda is maybe the only company that's selling a Todoroki wig. I mean, they're not, but like, for example, right?
Yeah.
So they think, well, the consumers have been presented with choice and they can go get our wig somewhere else for cheaper. We need to pull back in the finite choice, remove the choice by only having we will be the only company that has it. Right? Like, we'll be the only company that has XYZ character. Then they'll have to buy from us, and then we'll be guaranteed to sell the wig because they can't go anywhere else.
Yeah. Instead of being like before, where it was just like, oh, we're just the cosplay wig store. We're the wig store, basically. Now they're like, okay, well, if you want this character, we're the only ones who has this character, so you have to come to us. They're trying to find their niche, basically, now. Instead of just being an overall, we're the, like, monopoly, basically, of cosplay wigs in the U.S. Now they're just like, oh, now we need to find a niche because so many people can get wigs cheaper and easier and more accessibly from other places. So we need to find a new strategy.
Right. And it's kind of sad because I also remember Arda used to have a lot of tutorials they would post. They would have like iron wig challenges for people to compete in. They would do like giveaways. Like, I won like a Yuri on Ice Victor wig from Arda once, and I was so I was so happy. But no, it's all gone now. I haven't seen them do anything like that because they only had 2 people working there. How could you manage? It's just crazy. I don't know. I think it's wild, and I don't know what the future of Arda Wigs looks like, but
I think it's hard because, like, the previous, like, big companies of cosplay, like, 5-10 years ago, it's kind of like when you see, like, a website that used to be, like, the biggest thing, and now there's, like, oh, the market's so oversaturated, and they just haven't been able to update and keep up, and so they're getting lost in the, like, they're getting lost in the flow, basically, because now cosplay is so popular that so many more companies are seeing that's profitable, and they're putting their fingers in it, and they're like, oh, well, we can do this, and we can do it cheaper and faster.
Yeah, I think it's companies that don't adapt to the times get left behind, and that applies to every type of career and field, and I think that it's just evident here.
Yes, absolutely.
One more thing I want to mention on, because I'd be remiss if we didn't, and I'm going to choose my words very carefully. Yes. That way we don't get brought into a court, presumably. Mm-hmm. So everything I say is alleged, and we're almost over time for the episode, so we'll be quicker with this. But basically, there is a convention in Houston, Texas.
Of course it's Houston.
Of course it's Houston. I don't know why the dregs of the convention world all populate like fungal spores in Houston, but it happens. Not all of them are bad in Houston. Let me just clarify that. It's just, it seems like for some reason there's an overwhelming propensity for less than desirable conventions to appear in Houston, Texas, specifically. Anyway, so it's called DisabilityComicCon, and it was intended to be a good, safe space for people with all kinds of disabilities to come out to a convention and see representation from guests that have similar, and also like industry people, and like maybe have merch catered towards them in some way. And at the bare minimum, you would expect that the entire convention would be ADA compliant, which, from what we're hearing, was not the case.
Crazy.
Allegedly was not ADA compliant. People allegedly were having trouble getting around the convention. There wasn't adequate ability to get onto stages that were allegedly unsafe for people to walk on. And it was a whole mess because of that situation alone. But then the convention coordinator themselves and owner of the convention, I believe, was then allegedly mismanaging at least the cosplay department. I don't know about anything else, because all of the perspectives and stories that I've heard from people that were directly involved, that were guests, were all cosplay guests. But basically, they had experiences with this coordinator where they were kind of voluntold / conscripted into being a cosplay coordinator, because there wasn't one at the time, being asked to help with the coordination of that and facilitation of the cosplay department contest. Something else that was weird is the cosplay tables were in a panel room. So like while panels were happening, there were tables set up at the front of the room next to the projector with the cosplay guests at them, where people were coming up to them during the panels and like interacting with them while panels were happening.
That's weird.
Yeah, that like is so bizarre. I never heard of that before in my life. Yeah. But basically there was a lot of brouhaha because not only were some of the guests being misgendered by the convention multiple times, which is kind of ironic for it touting to be an inclusive convention. Mm-hmm. But also there was allegedly some miscommunication with the contestants related to prizing, and like contestants allegedly being asked to come back and return their prize money, because who knows what that money needed to be used for instead. And then also like feuds happening and like drama happening between, and then also a guest also having like health issues, but then allegedly being disregarded and ignored by the convention owner. So that was a whole thing happening. Basically all of this accumulated to a point where all of the guests seemed to want to give feedback to the convention organizer, who was ignoring their feedback. And then there was all of this drama, girl, that happened yesterday and today on social media. There was doxing. There was people, the convention, I don't even know if this is alleged because there's receipts for all of this, but the convention organizer was calling the guests all racist, was misgendering them publicly, was trying to give their legal names and post them online. And here's an actual quote. You're going to love this. So, this is from her like public social media. Okay. I have a case against them and want to share that I will protect myself. I allowed these people in my space and they are deranged. This is in reference to the cosplay guests, by the way. My word. All 6 of them. The people who are harassing me are the following, and then has a list and doxes all of them. Tries to dox them. The names aren't always correct. And also it's really rude because
even trying, like The audacity.
Oh no, the audacity, and also is like not even using the right pronouns and like it listing all of them and then this doxing. And then says all of these people are shapeshifters and I'm sorry, this isn't funny because this is real people being doxed, and like I know some of them, and it's not. This is a horrible situation to be in, but the diction that she chooses here, it's horrible. So all these people are shapeshifters and change their gender often. They are between the ages of blank and blank. They are all Caucasian and live in these places and lists the places. They're just city names, not addresses. But and then says, I have blocked them on several accounts for harassing my husband because I misgendered them on 2 occasions. So basically what she says is I'm being attacked because I misgendered someone twice. And that's the reason why I'm being called out. Not that I've done all of this other stuff.
Not because of
where
this
I've done
list of sins.
Oh my God. Not because I've like done all of these other things. And it says I apologize, but they won't stop. I don't think I actually, there might have been an apology. I don't know, because there's been so many emails. But then allegedly this owner starts calling the people that the guests work, like finds where they work, and allegedly starts calling them the employers, and is like talking to them about like you should fire them. Maybe, I don't know. I'm speculating. Don't know what they're saying.
What else would you say? Like,
I don't know.
Your employee is harassing me, so get rid of him. What else?
Oh,
would they
and
call
then
for?
and then the owner got a Harris County constable from Precinct 4 to call some of the guests on the phone and basically all but threaten them and say, we're going to take you to court and get the district attorney to like come after you. But then the people in the voice memos are like, what did I say? What did I do? And they're like, well, we have receipts. And I think that there are so many different people that are all like coming at the owner that they don't actually know who's who. And so this constable was just like, well, we're going to get you. So all that being said, apparently there's like going to start being there's going to be like a crowdfunding for like potentially a legal defense. I don't think that this convention or this owner actually has a case at all, because libel and slander is extremely difficult to get actually through any court in the US, because you not only have to prove that it was untrue, but you also have to prove that it was done maliciously. And there's 6 people that all have evidence of this, all this stuff happening. There are receipts online of her saying all of these things. I don't actually have any questions for you about this. I just wanted to inform you.
No,
so what's your take on all of it? What's your take?
It honestly sounds like a convention owner who was just trying to take advantage of people. That's really what it sounds like.
Who are disabled.
Yeah, it really just sounds like that, and then doesn't give respect to the people, to the cosplay guests, doesn't give respect to the people that they hired to do this event. And then now that they're being called out on it, they're like, wait, what? You're not just gonna like sit there and take it? You're actually gonna like call me out on this? Oh, well, I'm gonna take legal action. That's what it sounds like. It's like, you'll hear from my lawyer. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, and then one of the guests was like, I would rather give my own money to the contestant from my appearance fee or per diem or whatever than you summon the winner back and take their money back from them. And the owner allegedly said, oh, okay, sounds good. And then told them to give their money to the I think second place winner or something. And she did. She like gave part of her own money, and then like the owner was allegedly peer pressuring another guest to give her some of her money.
What? That's crazy. That's literally just someone who was way in over their head, was not expecting people to call them out for their BS, and now they're being called out for their panicking, and they're just like, oh, let me involve the law. That scares people.
No, literally. Again, disclaimer, this is all alleged information.
Allegedly.
None of this is being taken as fact. Do not come after us, Miss Thing, and please do not try to scorch earth our podcast, because we are just here out in these streets doing our best. So
we're just
you don't have to
saying
come
what
for
the people
us.
are saying.
No, literally. Okay. I'm going to go to the outro, and then I'm going to come to you at the end to do the thing. But yeah, thank you for joining another episode of the Cosplay Crunch. If you would like to ask a question to one of our lovely guests, please email us at cosplaycrunchpod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Cosplay Crunch Podcast for the latest podcast news and announcements, as well as on cosplaycrunch.com. And if you want the full visual beauty, you can follow us on YouTube at the Cosplay Crunch Podcast. Also, rate us on the apps. Rate us on Spotify, Apple, like the videos on YouTube. If you think they're funny, comment your favorite part. I think we're going to do a giveaway soon, hopefully at least by the end of this season. And we're probably going to want to show your rating to us in like a DM or something. Because honestly, I have the time to look through DMs and check every single one. And I have the ability, because there aren't too many yet. Hopefully it grows, but I will receipt check everyone's ratings and I will dole out prizes accordingly. So make sure to do that. Bree, do you have any parting words for our listeners, and where can they find you on social media?
Yes. Really, this is cheesy, but follow your passion. That's the only reason I'm doing what I'm able to do, is because I followed my passion. I took a chance and it worked out. So make sure to follow your passion, because you never know what you're going to do if you never do it, if you never take the first step. And the first step's always the scariest. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn as Keep Breathing. That's KEEPBREETHING. So breathe like my name. It's a pun.
It's a pun.
It's a pun. Yeah. But yeah, you can just follow me on there. Twitter, I do more voiceover stuff that I just like post about, and I shout out a lot of my friends and congratulate them on amazing roles. And then Instagram, you can see more of my cosplay stuff that I've done in the past and I continue doing. And Instagram's usually the first to see like any characters that I do that I then cosplay, another one should be coming up soon. So,
and one of them is going to be the cover on this podcast episode.
Yay! Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. No, thank you so much for joining. I have so much fun talking to you all the time, and I really feel like this is like, it's so fun because I feel like these episodes are just conversations that I want to have, but they're technically being recorded and shared with other people, but like it doesn't feel like anyone's listening. I don't know. That's why it's kind of fun. Session. Yeah, exactly. Which is honestly the best part. But no, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. And until next time, we'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
The Cosplay Crunch podcast is hosted by Zavage Cosplay, with post-production also by Zavage Cosplay. Original theme music by Katie Fairbanks. Logo and graphic design by Owl and Coffee.